John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
We have been given a gift by God today to usher in a new dynasty.
Now you get RFK Jr.
Don't you want a president who's going to make America healthy again?
You get Tulsi Gabbard.
Putting our country in a continual state of war.
You get Elon Musk and you get J.D. Vance.
It's a hell of a way to start the next 4 years.
The right-wing Avengers.
We have an army of digital soldiers.
Department of Defense under Donald Trump will achieve peace through strength.
Shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one.
The rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others.
The golden age of America has most definitely begun.
Begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay.
They're getting the dirt bags off these trees.
There's one guy who can fix this shit, and it's Donald Trump.
What's storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
America is a land of heroes, a place where greatness is born, where destinies are forged, and where legends come to life. This is the home of Thomas Edison and Teddy Roosevelt, of many great generals, including Washington, Pershing, Patton, and MacArthur. This is the home of Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, Amelia Earhart, Harriet Tubman, the Wright brothers, Neil Armstrong, and so many more. This is the country where children learn names like Wyatt Earp, Davy Crockett, and Annie Oakley. This is the place where the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth and where Texas patriots made their last stand at the Alamo. The American nation was carved out of the vast frontier by the toughest, strongest, fiercest, and most determined men and women ever to walk on the face of the earth. Our ancestors braved the unknown, tamed the wilderness, settled the Wild West, lifted millions from poverty, disease, and hunger, vanquished tyranny and fascism, ushered the world to new heights of science and medicine, laid down the railroads, dug out the canals, raised up the skyscrapers. Our ancestors built the most exceptional republic ever to exist in all of human history, and we are making it greater than ever before. This is our glorious and magnificent inheritance. We are Americans, we are pioneers, we are the pathfinders. We settled the new world, we built the modern world, and we changed history forever by embracing the eternal truth that everyone is made equal by the hand of Almighty God. America is the place where anything can happen. America is the place where anyone can rise. And here, on this land, on this soil, on this continent, the most incredible dreams come true. This nation is our canvas, and this country is our masterpiece. We look at tomorrow and see unlimited frontiers just waiting to be explored. Our brightest discoveries are not yet known. Our most thrilling stories are not yet told. Our grandest journeys are not yet made. The American age, the American epic, the American adventure has only just begun. Our spirit is still young, the sun is still rising, God's grace is still shining, and my fellow Americans, the best is yet to come.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Josh. Welcome to the Red Pill Project's a daily dose, live with you Monday through Friday. Hope everybody out there is doing it well. And one of my favorite speeches, kind of a little modified by Donald Trump from the State of the Union address. I believe that was in 2020. And a lot said in that. And it brings tears to my eyes listening to it because we're already supposed to be there. But now we are getting there right now with what Donald Trump is laying forth. And you know, it's interesting to watch this administration because I'm not going to lie. I criticize this administration. I have a lot of problems with what this administration is doing. But that's okay because that's politics. That's just how things operate. But in the grand scheme of things, when we begin to look at everything that's unraveling, we can begin to see something coming together. We can begin to see this constructive narrative of what the Trump administration is doing that benefits all Americans. That is probably the best path forward for the American people and for the people of Earth. It's weird to say the people of Earth. But, you know, there's a lot of things that I think we still need to change because what I see is that there is a system that operates behind the scenes that Congress and Senate and even the executive branch and all the bureaucratic legions underneath, that the integration of all the government contractors, all the NGOs, all the foreign nations, that they have a system and that they protect that system very, very well. And they protect it through money, power, and influence. They protect it through the lobby. They protect it through kickbacks to politicians. And politicians have gotten sloppy over the years, and that's why a lot of this is happening right now. What do I mean by that is they said, hey, I'm not only going to take it from the lobby, I'm just going to take it illegally. I see a lot of the protection of that system still happening. Whether it's the Trump administration, whether it's Congress, it's still happening. And it brings about a very, very important perspective that it doesn't matter who the president of the United States is. It doesn't matter if he's the most pro-American person in the world. That once you get into that position of power, there's a system that operates around you. I didn't say below you. I didn't say above you. Around you. And that system has massive influence on your decision-making. That Donald Trump doesn't just wake up and say one day, we're going to do this. That goes through levels of scrutiny, of criticism. People and lawyers and bureaucrats, they come in, they say all their pieces, they change, they modify it before you ever hear about it. Now, is that the system that our founding fathers originally intended to have? I say no. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. There's too much influence within Washington. Now, are we ever going to get to a point where that influence is subdued to where the American people rise up as the most powerful figure within Washington, D.C.? Well, it goes back to a lot of what we've talked about for a long time. So the only way that that happens is if we come together and unite as a group, is if we have one unified voice that goes out there and tells Congress, this is what we want, and you're going to give it to us, or goodbye. That tells the president, hey, we're demanding this. This is what we elected you to do. Do it. And when I go onto social media, what do I see? I see the psychological warfare game. I see the left doing what the left does. Spewing out propaganda and bullshit, trying to sway their group's opinions towards their alignment of their radical left values. But then I see the right. I see those who we once believed were America first. We once thought were MAGA. Arguing, bickering, going at war with each other, dividing these movements. Internal fights. They come out with tough issues and they start debating them. But no one ever tends to align with the truth, with what is really happening. There's a very small portion of our community that has the big picture view. And this audience right here is absolutely one of them. The Badlands audience is absolutely one of them. We have the bigger picture of what is happening, the real issues. And here's the thing. Is those influencers that we see right now that are just bickering amongst each other, and they're not going out there and engaging the larger issues, they're not out there talking about how to how to solve and resolve these problems, they are part of the problem. They are part of that system. They are meant to be in there to disrupt our movement, to disrupt the American voice, to ensure that that system stays in place. The system isn't corrupt. The system was designed this way. The system was designed to ensure that there was a representation of power between that which makes America, builds America, and supplies America, the businesses, the corporations, and that which is America, the people. And that power was originally meant to be equal amongst them. I mean, you got 380 million people. You got a handful of corporations, conglomerates, foreign interests. What does it take to get the American people to unify their voice, to say enough is enough, to take back that system of government that has been hijacked by private interest? That's where we are today. That's what's going to determine the midterm elections. See, the midterm elections are going to be determined by, specifically, who has the most power and the most influence over Washington, D.C. And in the 2024 election, 2025 election, that was the people. That was MAGA. That was America First. That was the people who had the most power and influence over the next position of what our government was going to do. And we went from here to Donald Trump's in power. I don't have to do anything. Bloop, right down here. I'm not saying you. I'm saying the majority. The everyday normies that vote Republican or Democrat just because of an alignment of values. They don't believe that politics are something that they have to get involved in because it doesn't affect them but just once every 4 years. I'm talking about the people out there, that your everyday average American, that don't believe that they have any power or words that can be expressed to Washington, D.C. And that's the illusion that the corporation and the foreign interests and the politicians in the system has led us to believe. Because in actuality, the biggest fear in Washington, D.C. is American voices. Is when American voices come together and change the direction of this country. And we've done it, hand over fist, multiple different times. We've canceled Cracker Barrel. Millions upon millions of people taking to social media, relaying their disgust, writing letters, sending emails, calling their politicians. We've done it to Budweiser. We did it to Target. We did it to Dick's Sporting Goods. But why can't we do that same thing to Lindsey Graham? Why can't we do that same thing to Susie Wiles, Pam Bondi, John Ratcliffe? Why can't we do that same thing to politicians? Because anytime that we get the momentum to move forward, in comes that psychological warfare campaign. In comes that information domain that is so critical to this battlefield, that hijacks movements, that derails that momentum. And see, over the years, one of the things that we've done is we've learned how to identify that, how to call that out, how to fight it, how to defend against it. The time is now. You know, I saw these two posts, and let me see here. There's that one. I saw this post, and I said, this can't be true. This has just got to be fake news. But Poly Market has been spot on. Poly Market has been absolutely accurate. Check this out. Which party will win the House in 2026? An 80% chance the Democrats win in 2026. Now, why is that? Well, that's because of the information war that is going on right now and the inability of the Trump administration to go out there and start indicting people to show the world the true colors of who and what these people are. It's almost like the system is protecting the system. Why in the world would Republicans want to protect that system? Because that system is built on money and power. You have to look at the United States of America as a corporation, as a business that functions, and that Congress and senators, they are the employees of that business. And here's the thing, is your tax dollars, that doesn't pay their salary. Do you think these multimillionaire and billionaires in Congress and Senate give a shit about $127,000, $150,000 a year? What they are working for is that insider trading to where they can make $200 million in a 4-year term. What they're waiting for is that payoff in 5 years when they leave after one term of Congress and they can go work for Big Pharma. They can go work for the defense industry. They can go work for an NGO, and they can rack in millions upon millions of dollars. That's who pays their salary as an employee of that corporation. Hence why all the moves, all the motivations of that corporation are aligned towards those businesses, towards those multinational conglomerates, towards those NGOs, towards that foreign interest. This is protecting the system. When this shit comes out and we see something like this, this is called protecting the system. Now, why is it that the Democrats are leading? Because the majority of Americans are still asleep. The majority of Americans are in slumber and think that politics is just this domain that they don't have any control over. That, oh, Washington's going to do what Washington's going to do. And that Donald Trump, he killed those 2 sailors that were in the water. They were just fishing out there. We're losing the information war. And rightfully so. The left, man, they're good at it. They're really good at it. Not are they only good at it, they're good at rallying their troops behind their message. They're good at organizing a unified voice. And it doesn't matter if you agree with their values, if you agree with their politics. They don't give a shit because they do. Polymarket is kind of like an online gambling casino where people can go in there and put wagers on who they think is going to win the next election, on how high do you think Bitcoin's going to go. And so this comes about with only $418,000 worth of volume. So it's very, very low. I think that this will change, but it's a stark warning to the American people. Now, I saw John earlier today put this out, and he kind of he put out an X post, and then he came out and did this video on it. I want you to listen to what he says here because he is 100% spot on.
When he said this, he's like, we're going to lose the midterms because Candace Owens and TPUSA are ripping the movement apart. And I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, like, this is probably the 4th or 5th excuse I've seen today, different excuse, having to do with why we're losing the midterms. And none of these people are talking about election fraud, and that's an issue. But think of what we're doing here, guys. We are giving them the ammunition they need, the narrative fodder they need to steal the election.
In his list right here, according to MAGA influencers unwilling to talk about election fraud, Trump doesn't. So this is the official list of reasons we're going to lose the midterms. And this is coming from social media. This is the information war. This is what I'm talking about. This is the people out there distracting you, providing that information warfare game out there to take away from the real issues. And number one, Trump doesn't know what he's doing. If he doesn't insert something retarded here, then we're done. Candace Owens isn't attacking TPUSA. Trump is too pro-Israel. Trump isn't pro-Israel enough. Nobody has been arrested yet. The Epstein files. Republicans aren't focusing on the economy enough. The filibuster. H-1B immigration policy. Tucker Carlson said things Mark Levine didn't like. We don't have a strong enough ground game. These are actual things that are online.
And instead of looking at, our elections are illegitimate, fraudulent, we can't trust them, machines, all these things, we're going to be looking at, yeah, it was Candace's fault. She said she asked too many questions and called out too many people at TPUSA. Or whatever. Like, you could list any of these reasons. Doesn't matter. And people will use them all. But the real reason isn't any of them. Excuses like this, while we have a fraudulent election system, keeps us in the system. It excuses it away. We're ignoring the root of the problem and the root of like most of the problems in this country because we're not willing to talk about it. And instead we're, the filibuster. If we don't end the filibuster, we're done.
He's spot on. I agree with him. Because election fraud is one of the biggest concerns that we should all be talking about. The mainstream media should be carrying all of these stories of what's happening right now, and they're not. That this should be having ripples through Washington, D.C. right now, and it's not. You got to wonder, why is it that all of the reports that we're seeing on 2020 election fraud that are coming out right now are not sending shockwaves through Washington, D.C.? Why isn't every congressman, senator, Trump administration official coming out there and exclaiming this to the world, yelling at the mainstream media, why aren't you covering this? Because they're protecting the system. They're protecting the system that ensures that they're going to be in the power next election cycle. I shit you not. Few pieces of news I want to get into. Number one, the J6 pipe bomber has been arrested. They raided the home of the alleged J6 pipe bomber suspect, reportedly identified as Brian Cole. He's being described as an anarchist. They were able to track his cell phone and determine who he was and go into his financial records and find that he was buying bomb-making materials, pipe bomb-making materials, even after January 6th. And he was buying them all the way prior to January 6th, even like 2019, which is interesting. Because what you're going to find out about this J6 pipe bomber is that he was a lone wolf, that he worked alone, that there's no coincidence whatsoever with the spots and the locations of how he put those bombs in various different areas. Went to another area that wasn't even on camera, but the Capitol Police just happened to go there anyway. What you're going to hear is the fumble by the Biden administration, by the Biden FBI, of how they knew his identity, they knew who this person was, and they didn't do anything about it, which is concerning. But you're going to hear that he's a lone wolf, that there's no collusion with this guy and the Democrats, that no NGO or MK Ultra program is what influenced him. Just like you're going to find out about the DC National Guard shooter. He's a lone wolf. Just like you're going to find out about Tyler Robinson, the Charlie Kirk murderer, that it was a lone wolf. Just like we found out about Thomas Crooks, another lone wolf. Why? Because it's protecting the system. And I do have a theory on this, that they're protecting the integrity of their own system. See, if it came out that there's technology being utilized right now in front of your eyes on social media, that within just a few weeks or a few months can take a normal, average human being and turn them into a weapon, there would be panic globally amongst the people. There would be absolute chaos. It's a massive national security threat to say that there's groups out there that can weaponize any individual, specifically certain people who might have levels of mental retardation or autism or on the spectrum or maybe even emotional distress, but they can do it to anybody. That they can manipulate anybody in the world to their will, to their order, to go out there and conduct crimes that look like lone wolf crimes and nobody would ever know because they do it all the freaking time. That's MK Ultra 3.0 or 2.0, however you want to look at it. And it's very, very active right now in the world. But see, revealing that to the world would produce mass chaos. The economies would collapse because people would no longer use social media until they were ensured that, hey, that stuff needs to be eradicated. They don't want to eradicate that because it's both sides that use it. It's all sides that use it. It's a weapon of the elite. And at the end of the day, it's about the preservation of the system. for the ones that have the power. Jesse Waters yesterday. Democrats are plotting a military coup, not of dictator Maduro, but of Trump. Obama's trigger puller, Leon Panetta, is fuming over the double tap hoax. He wants to send Secretary of War to the hog. Democrats are protecting the cocaine cowboys of the Caribbean. They're calling innocent fishermen. There is no such thing as a narco-terrorist. This is the psychological warfare that the left are being embodied to right now, all over social media. That this Colombian family is like, oh my God, we're going to sue the Trump administration because they killed our fisherman father. He wasn't a fisherman. The moment he stepped on that boat, after the executive order was signed declaring all of these narco-terrorists, foreign terrorist organizations, I don't care if he was being paid to do it, if he was being coerced to do it, I don't give a shit. The moment he got on that boat, he knew his fate was sealed. He knew the consequences of his actions, that an MQ-9 Reaper is going to fly over him and drop a 20-pound warhead on top of him and blow them to shit. Because you want to know what? At the end of the day, 100,000 plus Americans die each year from cocaine overdoses and fentanyl overdoses. Now, I've heard, oh, well, fentanyl, there's 0% of fentanyl is coming from Venezuela. You dumb fucks. Do you understand where China sends the chemicals to make fentanyl, goes into Venezuela, and then it gets distributed through Colombia, it gets distributed through Central America, it gets distributed to Mexico. And it's primarily the Mexican cartels that put it all together. But primarily, Venezuela is the home port for all of that and where that comes. Fentanyl is coming over from Venezuela into the United States. It's on record. So, yeah, we're going to bomb the shit out of those boats, rightfully so. And you want to know what? If you bomb the shit out of a military vehicle in a war zone, and there's people running away, and you're in an A-10 Warhawk, what do? You open fire on those enemy combatants. You don't want them to live. Your job is to kill them. You get two people that are probably not going to survive, that go back into the boat where there's weapons. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to bomb the shit out of them again. Absolutely. Welcome to the United States military. Welcome to war. This is how it works. Stop being pussies on the left. But see, it's not about them being pussies because they know this, because the same things happened during the Obama administration and they did nothing. The Biden administration, they didn't give a shit. They're just utilizing it now as a psychological warfare tactic to change the mentality of the average American, the average normie mind. They're propagating this narrative through ABC, CBS, MSNBC, through the mainstream media channels, because they know that this is the normies channels. This is where most people in America get their news and information from. And this is the mainstream narrative. This is the mainstream narrative. This is what's going to happen. And I love what Rubio said about this today. Listen to this real quick.
Also, you know, it's interesting. If an aircraft carrier of the United States was deployed off the coast of Japan, or was the coast on the Pacific somewhere, or was deployed in the Mediterranean, or in somewhere off the coast of Europe, everybody would be happy because it would show America's commitment to our security partnerships that we have around the world. But somehow, if an aircraft carrier and our naval assets are deployed in our own hemisphere, that's problematic. I would say that if you're focused on America and America first, you start with your own hemisphere, where we live. What happens here, I'm not saying things that are happening halfway around the world are not important. I'm saying what happens in our hemisphere impacts us faster and more deeply than something that's happening halfway around the world.
He's spot on, 100%. Isn't it interesting that the other day, Alpha and I were saying, watch Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity had Rubio on. I just found that kind of interesting. Let's hear what John Solomon has to say. Not necessarily about the same topic, but about something else that is a direct result of why our military is over there.
26 states are about to be forced to clean up their voter rolls and take off the non-citizens, the dead people, the triple registrars. The 26th election could be fundamentally different for the Democrats because they won't have dirty voter rolls. That is a Harmeet Dillon success story.
And someone said that the volume is too low. I don't have any control over that whatsoever. That is literally my StreamYard, or not my StreamYard, my Restream. I could try to pump up the volume on my side and see if this works. I'll pump this up to 65% and see if that works in the next video I play. I apologize. But this is about voter and election fraud. This is about getting the integrity of our election systems where they need to be prior to the midterm election. That's what John was talking about. But instead what we have is MAGA and America First bickering about, did you hear Candace Owens and TPUSA? Who gives a shit about Candace Owens and TPUSA? Yeah, I give a crap about who really killed Charlie Kirk. But is that the biggest problem that we have right now as a society, as a country? Kickback, back to 2020, Sidney Powell. Listen to what Sidney Powell says.
I can hardly wait to put forth all the evidence we have collected on Dominion, starting with the fact it was created to produce altered voting results in Venezuela for Hugo Chavez, and then shipped internationally to manipulate votes for purchase in other countries, including this one. It was funded by money from Venezuela and Cuba, and China has a role in it also. We have staggering statistical evidence. We have staggering testimony from witnesses, including one who was personally in briefings when all of this was discussed and planned, beginning with Hugo Chavez and how it was designed there, and then saw it happening in this country. As soon as the state shut down on election night and stopped counting, those are the states where the most egregious problems occurred. We also need to look at, and we're beginning to collect evidence on the financial interests of some of the governors and secretaries of state who actually bought into the Dominion systems to line their own pockets by getting a voting machine in that would either make sure their election was successful or they got money for their family from it. Well, for fraud this serious, I think even if the states are stupid enough to go ahead and certify the votes where we know the machines were operating and producing altered election results, then they will be set aside by the fraud also.
Sidney Powell, 5 years ago, saying what we know now. She knew. She told us. She warned us. And yet, nobody cared. Shout out Andy Pearson, $5. Let's play $5 rants. I love this. Thank you guys so much. Merry Christmas, and thank you for all that you do from Catherine 11. Appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much for the rants. It looks like there's a $5 competition out there. Awesome. And don't forget to hit that like button, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Let's get the likes rocking and rolling. Get the shares and comments rocking and rolling. 5 for 5 going on out there on the Rumble chat. Appreciate you guys. Let's listen. This is a little bit longer one. We're not going to listen to the whole one. This is going to cover a lot of what we talked about yesterday. But I know some people wanted to bring this in because this is the information that the mainstream media, that Congress, Senate, not even the White House is fucking talking about. I'm just baffled. How the Trump administration, how you don't have Pam Bondi coming out and saying we're opening up in a full investigation of this. How you don't have Trump going out there and calling this out and saying, hey, Pam Bondi, right here, all the evidence.
It was a confession of his role in Venezuela's attack against the United States, and also saying that President Trump's actions on the narco-terrorist state are absolutely justified. The letter was written by a man currently in U.S. custody named Hugo Carvajal. He writes, quote, the purpose of this organization, known now as the Cartel of the Suns, is to weaponize drugs against the United States. The drugs that reached your cities through new routes were not accidents of corruption, nor just the work of independent traffickers. They were deliberate policies coordinated by the Venezuelan regime against the United States. This plan was suggested by the Cuban regime to Hugo Chavez's, Maduro's predecessor, in the mid-2000s, and has been successfully executed with help from FARC, that's the Colombian entity, ELN, Cuban operatives, and yes, Hezbollah. The regime has provided weapons, passports, and immunity for these terrorist organizations to operate freely from Venezuela against the United States. Carvajal also details in the letter that was printed exclusively in the Dallas Express, a regional paper, that, quote, when the Biden-Harris open border policy became widely known, they seized the opportunity to send these operatives into the United States. They now have obedient, armed personnel on American soil. To finance their operations, they were explicitly instructed to continue kidnapping, extorting, and killing. Every crime they commit on your soil is an act ordered by the regime.
I'm not going to listen to the whole thing. You get the point. It's been a week since this information has broke. Yeah, they lack the CIA ties, but they're there, I assure you. Colonel Towner has actually been laying that out. The former head of Venezuelan intelligence exposed that Democrats are working with the communist dictatorship to undermine Trump in America. He is now flipped to Trump and is singing like a canary. Yet, crickets. Nothing on the mainstream media. No member of Congress or the Senate is discussing it or talking about it. No person within the Trump administration is saying anything about it. We need to ensure that they do. We need to ensure that this is front line and center and prosecuted immediately. Patrick Byrne, what does he say? In a stunning interview, Patrick Byrne says U.S. officials were bribed by the Venezuelan regime, and some of them are still in positions of power. We have people in U.S. custody who were in the room when Hugo Chavez and Fidel Castro arranged $20 million in payments to U.S. officials. He says he's legally barred from naming names until certain arrests are made, but the evidence is overwhelming. Yes, they actively interfered and delayed President Trump on Venezuela and the voting machines. There are people of such seniority secretly on the payroll that it will shake this nation. I'll say that again. They actively interfered and delayed President Trump on Venezuela and the voting machines. There are people in such seniority secretly on the payroll, it will shake the nation. We have diaries. We have witnesses. It's all documented. Burns says some of the traitors have already been exposed, but more are coming. This wasn't random corruption. This wasn't foreign influence. This was a counterintelligence attack on the United States from the inside its own government, engineered by a foreign regime, facilitated by compromised American officials, and covered up for years. Now, he's insinuating something there, because I bet all of you are asking the same question I'm asking. Wait a minute. He said that some of these traitors have already been exposed and more are coming. We haven't seen anybody exposed. But wait. Oh, I know what he means. It's a little sign and signal. We're expecting that these people just took money from the cartels, and the cartels said, here, Carta de los Sols, wire transfer to your JP Morgan account. Money in there, good to go. But see, that's not how it works. You got to remember how the deep state intelligence apparatus works, how they move money. They take illicit money and move it into legitimate money legally. That's what they do. That's their whole purpose. And guess how they did it? You ready for this? Governors, Secretary of States, Attorney Generals, Congressmen, Senators, people within your state representatives. Look at real estate. Go look at everybody that the Trump administration has been targeting with mortgage fraud. Now you'll understand that comment that Patrick Byrne said. Some of these traitors have already been exposed. Do I give two shits about Lindell TV? No, I don't. I'll explain it again. For me, it's about the information. It's about how we can take the information that various different points are bringing out and put it together and see what's going on. Stephen Miller. Here we go. Stephen Miller. He says the quiet part out loud. I love it.
Major political party. This is the first time I can ever think where a major political party has sided with narco trafficking, murdering, terrorist scum. You know, you play one of those clips from a Democrat who said, oh, there's no such thing as a narco terrorist. They're just narco persons. The ISIS and these narco terrorists in our hemisphere use the same tactics. They use rape as a weapon. They skin people alive. They cut off their heads. They burn them to death. These narco terrorists, if a politician opposes them, they kidnap their family. If they don't give them what they want, they murder their family. You can go to the Border Patrol here in the United States and you can say, draw me a map of the border, and on the Mexican side, tell me which cartel controls every inch of territory. And the border agents can literally say, mile by mile, which cartel controls which section of the border. Not the Mexican government. They don't control it. Which cartel? When President Trump declared these organizations foreign terrorist organizations, that wasn't just a talking point. That wasn't just a buzzword. It was a promise from this president to use hard American power to kill and to stop these terrorists, these enemies of the United States, from killing our families, from killing our children, from taking over our communities. And that's what President Trump is doing.
Love it. And he's also insinuating there that the Mexican government is controlled by the cartels. It's a narco-political state, much like all of Central and South America. Just to comment on this before they go away, Research Junkie, $5 Rumble rant. Appreciate that, Research Junkie. Art Pirate, $5 Rumble at Christmas tree. Merry Christmas and a thumbs up. Appreciate you guys. My Doe Eyes, $5 Rumble rant. I'm still on the road, but I had to pull over and join the $5 snowball fight. Thank you, Josh, for all you do. Thank you, My Doe Eyes. Daytar, $17, $5 Full Throttle Spiritual Warfare. Appreciate it, Daytar. Thank you so much. Toker Joe, $5 Rumble rant. Josh, love your show. Love your take on everything. In my personal opinion, you're the tip of the spear. Thank you, Toker Joe. I appreciate that. Eddie, 646. God bless America. $5 Rumble rant. Appreciate that. Mega Newt, $5. Smack the deep state around till they confess. I agree. Thank you. My Doe Eyes again. I was up repeating the same one. And Autobahn F1, $5. 2020. We're back. Disclosure agreed. Annie Machinations, praying for the hand of God moment. I agree, Annie. Appreciate that. $5 Rumble rant. And we got a $5 snowball fight going on in Rumble. So that's pretty cool. It's Tony, man. $5 Rumble rant. Hey, Josh, what will happen if and when they start putting kids in them boats? I don't want to think about that. But the beautiful thing is the United States of America, our great intelligence would be able to spot that from a mile away. And I bet they would just interdict those vessels instead of actually going and blowing them out of the water. So there's a lot more to go here. I got to send an email out. Tammy's going to be joining me. I wanted to get her that email. But I got a little bit more. And by the way, tonight is our live Q&A. And so one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put that up on the board here so that people know just right here. So live Q&A tonight after the show. Become a premium subscriber on any of our platforms, x.com, socialredpill.com, redpillproject.substack.com, redpillproject.locals.com. If you're a premium subscriber out there on X, you'll see a premium post that will have the link on Social Red Pill. It's in the group section under Thursday Q&A. Also, I'll post it on the live feed. Substack, it is in the decentralized media private chat for our premium users. And on Locals, it'll be in the feed for all premium subscribers. So that is tonight after the show. And that will be, I'll put it on the scroll-a-thon here in a second. And then I want to go out here, and we got the $5 rants that are helping pay the bills tonight, guys. I appreciate you. And we'll get them more of those here in a second. And I want to see what else we got. Oh, I like that one. I might have to jump in on that one right there. Let me see here. All right, we're going to do it. We're going to do this one. We're going to do this one. For Rumble, if you guys are on Rumble, you can go onto my Rumble. You'll see it in the chat and in the description box, and the links will come up with the QR code. And I'm just going to go ahead and read this for you. Stop stressing about shipping deadlines and what to buy. Look at the screen. This is the gift they actually want. It's Cyber Week at Chicago Steak Company. If you missed Black Friday, you actually got lucky because this deal is massive. You know the quality USDA prime beef, hand-cut, wet aged for tenderness, delivered in that signature gold cooler. It's the ultimate steak experience for a reason. But here is why you need to move now. Use code SANTA229, and they are stacking the box with 6 free ribeyes. Holy shit, I'm going to get this. You heard that right, 6 free ribeyes, plus you get free shipping. That is a freezer full of premium steak just for using the code. Go to mychicagosteak.com immediately. The code is Santa229. That is mychicagosteak.com. Use code Santa, SANTA 229. Grab the 6 free ribeyes before Cyber Week ends. That's actually a pretty damn good deal, guys. I have to go check that out. And I'm going to go back up here, and we got the snowball fight continues. Hold on. We got James Badoin 6. Take my money. Appreciate you, James. Thank you. Lizzie Lizard. Thank you, Josh, for all that you do. Thank you so much. $5 Rumble Lance. Dolly, $25 Rumble Lance. Please do Zelensky impression or Trump or Putin, please. I'm about to jump in and do Zelensky. Right. I get Zelensky like a Nazi. Right. G-Move, my buddy Gary over there from Real Jason Garcia because he doesn't like me. I like that. Stuck Patriot, $5 Rumble Rant. I'm waiting for Israel for last, keeping the snowball fight going. Thank you, guys. Appreciate all of those Rumble Rants. And interesting enough, Marco Rubio today, no country is safe, warns Europe. Senator Marco Rubio just issued a stark warning, one Britain and Europe can no longer afford to ignore. No country is safe if you can just walk in without us knowing who you are. Rubio didn't stop there. We've seen the destruction that's wrecking, not just in our own country, but across Europe and much of the world. This is a message that London needs to hear. Mass migration is destabilizing nations. Borders mean nothing without identity. Terror, trafficking, and crime thrive in chaos. Well, Keir Starmer dismantles what little border security the UK has left. The rest of the world is sounding alarm. Rubio sees it. Europe sees it. The British public sees it. The reason that their administrations don't see it is because they're in on it. Ron 4T, $5 Rumble Rant. Josh, did you hear about the dog that ate? Did you hear about the dog? Hold on, I lost it. Did you hear about the dog that ate 2 pieces of string and they came out tied? I shit you not. He's my $5. Funny, guys. You guys are awesome. What a great audience. Chancellor Merz accuses the Americans of playing games, both with you and Zelensky and with us. So leaked German Chancellor Friedrich Merz warned Zelensky during a now leaked call. You need to be extremely careful in the coming days. The Americans are playing games both with you and with us. Other leaders echoed the alarm. Macron, the U.S. might betray Ukraine on the issue of territory. Stubb, we must not leave Ukraine or Vladimir alone with these guys. Root, we have to protect Zelensky. Now, Macron came out and the U.S. could betray Ukraine, your secret deal on territory. What I want you to see here is that Europe is blowing the whistle that the United States is making a deal with Russia for Ukraine and that Europe is going to get kicked out of the deal, that Ukraine is going to not get what they want out of the deal. It's past that point. But this is what you also have to see is that this is being perpetuated for a reason, that the EU, the members of the European Union, are propagating this message, trying to get Zelensky to pull out of any deals that Donald Trump does. And here's the kicker, because I put this out earlier, and I don't think very many people caught on to it because you have to watch this show over a long period of time to understand what I'm talking about specifically about this post. What just happened? Oh, there we go. Xi to Macron, join me in building a multipolar world. Beijing didn't waste time dressing it up. Xi Jinping used Macron's 3-day state visit to openly pitch France on reshaping the global order, not with the U.S., but alongside China. Now, Xi wants you to think that he's in cahoots here, but think about this. Do you find it interesting that Macron is in Beijing at the same time he warns Ukraine that the U.S. is going to turn on them and divvy up their land with Russia? The question is was that something that Xi told Macron to say, or did Macron utilize the guise of being in Beijing as a psychological warfare that make people think that from the West? As in, Europe understands that the only reason that Russia can finance the war against Ukraine is because China keeps buying their oil. Think about this for a second. There's multiple scenarios that are playing out here. The only reason that Russia continues to have war with Ukraine is because China buys Russian oil. This is why Donald Trump said 2 months ago, if China wanted the war in Russia to stop, all they have to do is stop buying their oil. Period. So does it make sense that Xi would go to Macron in Europe and say, hey, you need to be careful with the United States and Russia. They're making deals. No, China's second in command was just in Russia meeting with Lavrov and other PMs or foreign ministers in Russia with their defense. At the same time, you had Trump officials, Wyckoff and Kushner, in Russia discussing things. Does it make sense that Xi would tell Macron, let's build a multipolar world without the United States? The same day that China banks begin buying the US dollar in bulk? Or are we being misled here? Is the European Union, is the British Empire, is MI6, is that old guard the real enemy here? Is it the central bankers that are utilizing the governments that they control within Europe? The ones that are trying to instigate and keep wars ongoing, that are trying to drive a wedge between Russia, the United States, and China? Are they the ones that are threatening retaliation against the United States within Venezuela? Yeah, yeah, they are. Think about it. When we start talking about the systematic destruction of the old guard, we're talking about Europe. We're talking about the British Empire. We're talking about the deep state intelligence apparatus, MI6. Now we have Root over there at NATO saying that we're going to be engaged in warfare with Russia within the next year. Get ready and prepare. Why? Because they're going to go all out. And I believe that Donald Trump will pull the plug on them. I believe that Donald Trump will pull out. $1 billion a month is what the European Union is going to fund Ukraine with for defense spending against Russia. This is Europe's war, not the United States' war. At the same time, they're coming out with draconian policies, arresting people for what they posted online or having a picture of them with a weapon. This is 1984 George Orwell with what's happening right now in the UK, within Europe. And this is the system that we are fighting against. And they have massive influence around the world. And they are twisting alliances and negotiations between Russia and the United States, between China and the United States and Russia. Why? For their own benefit. Because they see a shifting and changing world. They see a multipolar world on the future, and they're not in control. I want to go back, and a few others just came. Oh, wow, man, you guys are awesome. Andy Pearson, again, tag you're it. Appreciate it, Andy. SQ Quinn, Sonia over there. I'm throwing 2 snowballs because I have bad aim. $10 Rumble Rant. Thank you so much, as always. Thank you, Sonia. Chore Boss. I always get it wrong. Chore Boss, $50 Rumble Rant. Thank you so much, Chore Boss. You're awesome. You get this. I got it. Thank you, bud. Appreciate you. Stuck Patriot, $5 Rumble Rant for just for the best accents on the planet. Thank you very much. Eddie646, another $5 for the American flag. Thank you so much. Riha, $50 Rumble Rant. Thank you so much, Riha. I raised 45. Thank you. Q, Josh. Thank you. Yeah. Megan Uke, another $10 Rumble Rant. For fuck's sake, inbound. Missy Lola, $5 Rumble Rant. Thank you so much, Lola. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you. There are some more stories to go over. A lot of this I'm going to be covering tomorrow, but I'm going to be bringing in this lovely lady right here. She's an amazing human being. And every time, like, I see her on a small little camera that's black and gray, and it looks like every week she gets a new hairstyle. So
it's just the same old hair. It is. I swear. How's it going? I feel like I haven't seen you for a while.
I know, right? What's up? How have you been?
I'm pretty good. How was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was good. Yeah, it was decent.
Good.
Still eating it.
Are you really? Actually, I just made soup for the last of it last night. So, but your kids are still small, right? I mean, they're pretty small. How old are they?
12 and 14.
Yeah.
And my son's been eating the hell out of it. So
Yeah. Oh, 14. 14 is when it just like starts to explode. You're going to be buying running shoes like every other month here in the next very near future.
I hope not, because he's already a size 12.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, yeah. You're in big trouble. Maybe he's an early bloomer then.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he was an early bloomer because, well, our family's tall. So I'm just short. But,
so everybody else is tall.
But I mean, I got size 11s, but that's okay. But no, I stopped growing at 14.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess everybody's different. What do I know? I just know my kid was a little pinner. He was a little pinner dude. And then 14 hit and it was like, oh my gosh, I can't keep this kid in pants. I can't keep this kid in shoes. And now, of course, he's 6 foot and 22 and it's just, everybody tells you, the time goes by so fast when you're raising kids. But you don't really take that like to heart when you're doing it because you're always in the throes of the next season of the kid, right? And then when they do leave and are grown up, you're like, man, that was fast. So my advice is not that you asked for it, but hang on to this time. Hang on to this time because you will be there sooner than you think. It happens so fast, man. It happens so fast.
I know. It's so sad. I can already see it. They're already growing up and becoming independent and individual. Oh.
The driver's license is a big thing too.
Yep.
Once they get their driver's license, like, oh, dang, game over.
Well, so what's new in your world? What have you been up to? What's happening?
Yeah, lots of stuff going on in health, Josh. A breaking story right now is the Hep B vaccine. Have you heard about this?
I know of the Hep B vaccine, but I do not probably know what you're about to say.
Okay, so it's the vaccine that they give on first day of life, like at birth, essentially. Absolutely no reason to administer this vaccine to a baby, okay? Hep B is, for drug users, for people, who are promiscuous. Clearly, babies are not doing this. And mom gets tested for Hep B, during pregnancy and whatnot. So there's absolutely no reason for this first day of life injection. And now the new vaccine committee is bringing this to question, and it looks like it's going to be removed.
Ooh, removed from the schedule.
Yes. So we've got a lot of, and there's so, this, we talk about this all the time. There's so much chaos going on in the world. We've got, I feel like we have all these balls in the air all the time. We've got an AI ball in the air. We've got political balls in the air. We've got what's going on in health in the air. We've got all these things, all these dramas going on. So it's really hard to track all of them. And a lot of people don't pay attention to what's going on in health, especially now that COVID's over. When COVID was a thing, everybody was focused on health, right? But now that COVID's over, it's like, we're kind of settling into more, political topics and whatnot. But you guys, I just want to remind everybody, okay, that they mandated emergency use authorization, non-trialed pharmaceutical products onto everybody, and people died. And now they're slowly starting to admit it, Josh. We got an admission that 10 children died from the COVID vaccine. 10. Well, let me tell you, it was a whole lot more than 10. I've had more than 10 emails, more than 10 texts about dead children due to the COVID vaccine. But they're acknowledging 10. And one of those 10 is a gentleman by the name of Ernest Ramirez. He got a lot. Yep. I see. Everybody knows who he is. They are acknowledging that the COVID vaccine took his son's life. So developments are happening. They're slow. It's not enough. It's not enough. But we need people to understand that we can't forget about this, because the whole reason I do what I do with Naturally Inspired is to protect our freedom of choice when it comes to medical care. And if we just forget about this and don't acknowledge what happened, our future is really dicey when it comes to medicine.
Dude, I just saw this report that came out stating that after the COVID vaccine, heart attacks and heart disease has actually declined. Did you see this shit?
No. No, I didn't see that. That is not true.
I know, but I'm sitting there going, I said, wait, what? It was on X the other day. I opened it up, and you know how you open up X and you read an article and you have to go do something. You close your phone.
Yeah.
You go back, you open it back up, and all of a sudden it all updates and you lose it. I was reading it, and then it auto-updated, and I lost it. And I'm like, well, I hope Tammy's going to cover this, because here's my problem. I was talking about this in the beginning of the show. And I said, it doesn't matter who's in the White House. It doesn't matter who's in Congress, Republicans or Democrats. It doesn't matter if you have Bobby Kennedy at the head of the HHS. There's a system, and that system works behind the scenes, and it's very well protected. And I said, as long as we have money and influence that derives power in Washington, D.C., operating behind the scenes to keep that system moving, it doesn't matter who you put into that position of power. Until the people reclaim that power, rise up with unified voices, and demand change in action, you're never going to see any of this shit go away. That the pharmaceutical companies are always going to have the power. You're going to have big corporations that are always going to have the financing and the funding. They're always going to get the government grants. They're always going to get the contracts. You're going to have billionaires that stay billionaires and become trillionaires. Reason being is because people are like, well, I don't got no power. I don't, my word doesn't matter. My vote doesn't matter. But it does. But it does enforce. It does in mass. It does when we all start to come together and say, I've had a fucking enough. Yeah. It is time now.
Yeah, you know what's even more important than voting, though? This is what I've learned, is our actions on a daily basis, Josh. Our actions matter. Let me tell you a story, okay? And this is just one now of hundreds of stories, okay? I have people come to me mostly when they're in crisis, Josh. You know, they say that I don't know what to do. I've got this and they're giving me this choice. I don't want to take these pharmaceutical products. I don't want to do what they're telling me to do. I'm kind of scared. But I'm also kind of scared to like take, they'll tell me like, I'm scared to take power over my health because what if I'm wrong? Right? We have been conditioned to not trust ourselves when it comes to our health. So what I do is I don't really do anything. I just give people confidence. I say, hey, this is what the research says. Hey, look at this study. Here's what I know. Listen to this. I can explain it to you in simple terms. This is what's happening in your body, right? And recently, I have a client, and this guy, great guy, right? Great guy, a dad, worked his whole life, supported the family, done all the hard things that dads do, and he's broken down. Right? He gets a hold of my show on Rumble and he watches me for a while and then he decides, I'm going to give her a call. But he didn't think I would be able to really do anything. You know, he didn't really believe in it. He was like, well, I don't know what you can do. Like I can it's everything for me to get upstairs to get to my bedroom now. And I'm sleeping on the couch. My knees are killing me. My shoulders are killing me. How many medications are you on? I'm on 9 medications. 9 medications, okay? Medication for inflammation, medication for sleep, medication for heartburn, medication for blood pressure, medication for heart medication, okay? All these different medications, a water pill, because if you're on blood pressure medication, guess what's coming next, Josh? Water pills, okay? Like it's polypharmacy. It's one thing after another. And he's sitting there on the couch thinking, this is it for me. I'm in my 60s and this is it for me. I can barely walk up the stairs. Okay. But we connected. I said, he didn't have any confidence in me. I said, listen, give me 90 days. Give me 90 days. If you give me 90 days, then, you don't have to talk to me anymore. But give me 90 days. Do what I say for 90 days. So he's been with me 8 weeks, Josh, 8 weeks. He's on 1 medication now. He's on 1 medication. This man looks like a totally different person.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And it's not me. You know what it is? It's him trusting the process and stepping back into, he didn't want to be on those medications. He knew what they were doing to him. He knew that the blood pressure medication was causing the pooling of the fluid. He knew it was like adding to his symptoms. but he didn't have the confidence. He didn't know what else to do. It's like, here's the research. Take this back to your doctor. Take this back to your doctor. And when you show up, Josh, in your doctor's office with paper in hand, with study in hand, and you say, listen, I'm getting all of these side effects that you prescribed this medication from. I need to come off this because I'm actually getting worse. Doctor can't say anything about that. Huh. Right? So then you say, this is what I'm doing. I'm changing my diet. Right? I'm switching to this supplementation regimen. I'm going to do these things. I'm going to move my body. I'm going to do this. And if it doesn't work in 90 days, doc, then I come back. Right? But you don't even get that option in the doctor's office. And I have helped so many people take back control. And this is how we change the country, Josh. It isn't just voting. It isn't just paying attention to politics and being on the left or being on the right. It's about empowering ourselves, because our actions is what shapes our culture. I've added a new piece to my show, Josh. I don't know if you know that. It's called The American Moment. Because I have seen some of these podcasters, especially women podcasters on the left, a little annoyed by them, talking all the time. Oh, America is so terrible. America's so terrible. It's awful here. America doesn't have culture. This is what they're saying. America only has culture because of immigrants. Well, no, that's not the case. Let me reacquaint you people with your American culture. So I've been doing a segment every show on American culture to reacquaint Americans with who they are. Because we have been beat down to death by political correctness, by you can't say that. I don't know about you, but I am like so tired of people telling me what I can and cannot say. I'm like, do not tell me what I cannot say.
It's funny because this is what you're seeing in the influencer movement on the right.
Yes.
I mean, you can't question anything. You can't question Kash Patel. You can't question Dan Budget. You cannot criticize Donald Trump. You cannot ask questions about Charlie Kirk's murder. Oh God, no. That's let the authorities handle that.
Exactly.
After 4 years of the Biden administration, where the DOJ was weaponized against people, the FBI targeted patriots. Oh, now we're just supposed to trust everybody. Fuck you guys.
Exactly. Like what? Who is Tim Pool? Oh my gosh. So first of all, full disclosure, I've never been a Tim Pool fan because he's not my generation, and he's just like I don't feel relatable to him. Okay, so I've never been a fan, so I'll say that up front. But the way he's attacking Candace right now, he is such a baby. Who's paying you, bro? Who's paying you? You're a baby.
Pager you?
Yes. Who is paying you? Because you're a little whiny, crying baby. I don't get views. Yeah, she's kicking your ass because she's telling the truth. You know what? I don't agree with everything that Candace is saying, but I've been watching the investigation unfold. You can't argue with her investigation. She's bringing the receipts. She has questions. Answer the questions. Then we can all move on. This is no longer about left and right, everybody. We have to get to the truth because we are barreling down the tracks right now towards AI, towards the digital revolution. We need unity on that. We can't be, it's all over here or it's all over there. We need to empower ourselves. The future is us with heightened consciousness. Right? Human heightened consciousness. That doesn't come by boxing in our thinking. I'm on the left. I'm on the right. There's the tribal thinking is what globalists want from us. We may not have anything in common, but we can unite on the fact that we want agency in the future. If we don't work on our higher faculties and claim agency, we're going to be enslaved. And that is that.
Well, right. And for the longest time, we've been set into this trap where other people think for us. And that is a very, very dangerous trap. And, the Candace Owen things. I posted, if you saw this. So basically she says, I will debate TPUSA anytime, any place. So they came out and they said, okay, we're going to do it on this day at this time in this place. And it's like literally next week, right? And then Candace Owens is like, well, I can't make that in person, but I can do it virtually. Like, why didn't you guys call me and try to schedule this? Well, number one is I see both sides. I understand that she's saying, hey, why didn't you call me to try to schedule this? Then I could, change my schedule, got a flight. Instead, they go out and announce it, set the date. They did that because they're being assholes, but they're trying to set her up. But then
they're trying to set her up.
Yeah, and immediately after this, what did she do? She's like, well, I can go virtually, but what did you see? Massive amounts of accounts. Candace Owens has denied it.
Yep.
She asked for it, now denied. It was just a psychological warfare operation.
That's what it is.
And over and over and over again. And guys, this is the right. Here's the thing, is I've said this for the longest time. I've been saying this for years, is that the right is infiltrated just as much as the left, whether it is the absolute absurd narratives that are being propagated out there, the hijacking of the Q movements, of the truth movement, to every alternative media that is now mainstream media is being hijacked, bought, and paid for. Anytime that they have this upper tier organization that they're a member of or a part of, they are being paid kickbacks. They're being funded. You got to imagine, like the Tim Pool podcast. I think they bring in like $20 million a year. Where the fuck does that money come from?
Where does that come from?
That's a podcast. Like, come on, this is absurd, people. Now, I mean, like, if you're getting it from advertiser revenue, great. And maybe some of it is advertiser revenue. But we all know there's that whole Russian scam 2 years ago under the Biden administration where they connected one of the companies that was lobbying for Tim Pool and these other guys, and Russian money was flowing in. They gladly took it. They gladly propagated that narrative. But that was just a conspiracy theory. No.
And a one-off.
This is how it actually works. And I'll tell you, I'm not bought and paid for. I'm absolutely, I am a one-man show, and I'll continue to be a one-man show just because me working with other people, it never turns out right. It just doesn't turn out right, and they end up hating me for some fucking reason. But you know what? That's just life. That's the way it goes. But you know what? If I ever become big time, 30, 40 million views on, an episode or something like that, it's still going to be just me. This wall, this computer, this fucking webcam, it's gonna be me because I don't need all of that. Like the Tim Pool podcast, I think it's like $28,000 to $30,000 to produce an episode. Dude,
how can that be?
6 guys sitting around a fucking table with some webcams and broad-hitting broadcasts. You don't need all that shit. And here's the thing is, the money corrupts the system.
That's right.
Money corrupts the system. And we have to, as Americans, begin to really, really look deep and hard at those people that are the top level tier influencers out there and say, do you truly align with my values? Do you truly align with what I believe and what I think? And is my life any better because of you?
Exactly. The way I have this way of kind of trying to figure out what the heck's going on in the world. I refer to them as like gangsters. And it's not limited to anybody. There's a gangster faction to every group. Okay. I've been like down the rabbit hole recently with the Christian church, actually. And I know a lot of people feel like, oh my gosh, like, what is she going to say about that? Like, trust me.
My face is bracing right now. I'm like,
yes. No, trust me.
Jason's texting you like, Tammy, no.
Listen, this is the time. This is the great awakening. We have an opportunity to cleanse, okay? And I covered this on my show. It's a difficult time to expose the Christian church, but it's rising, okay? It's rising. There's a guy who did a 6-part series on the business of religion, okay? And this actually ties in to what Candace has been talking about.
I know.
Okay?
I know where you're going with this.
Yes. So, I mean, we you know what? The church is in our hearts, okay? Just because I criticize mega churches and the things that are going on behind the scenes and how Christianity is being used as a cover for big business and big corporation and gangsters. And yes, we have gangster pastors, people. We have and nobody isn't vulnerable to greed. If you're a human, you're vulnerable. You're susceptible to being coerced into the greediness of business, and the church is no different. And we're going to, I have a feeling that this is where this whole Candace thing is going to lead us to. We're going to start to understand that Charlie Kirk didn't know where all the money was coming from, and that his trusted entourage was actually using the cover of the 501c to cover things and to get things done for people. And Charlie was starting to question that. And that became a problem. I don't know who the set of gangsters is. I'm not claiming or saying who the set of gangsters are, but I'm telling you, if you look at everything through the eyes of like, what would Tony Soprano do? The world starts making a lot more sense, people. You're like, okay, there's negotiations here. Even with Trump, right? He's had to make some really hard decisions. Right? Really hard decisions. Well, so did Tony Soprano, right? You have to throw certain members of the family under the bus. Why? Because of negotiations. This is a mafia, people. We are living in a mafia. These people, they rise above the law. Is Hillary Clinton in jail? No, she ain't. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. How many times do we have to see these patterns to recognize it? This should be your motivation to focus on you. It's about us, because our actions will shape our culture. And if we get enough people doing the right actions, then it doesn't matter what happens in politics. Trust me. I wish Trump all the luck in the world. I'm grateful that he is the president, but he is playing Tony Soprano politics here.
Yes.
He has to.
That's how it works in the global
It's how it works. And so he does stuff I don't like. I have no control over it.
That's how I opened the show. I was like, Trump's doing things I don't like. But you know what? It doesn't change my perspective on him. It doesn't change my support for him. But if we want that to change, we have to understand that there's two power points in the system. The lobby, the multinational corporations, the big corporate military industrial complex, big pharma, all of this, foreign interest, and then there's the people. And if the people remain quiet, docile, not active, then that other power figure will always reign true. And that's the system that is being protected because they have the most influence. They have the loudest voice because of all their dollars that they bring in. And Trump has to capitulate. He has to acquiesce to that. He can. If the people aren't demanding it, he can't do it. And I think the Epstein files are a great example of this. The number one, Donald Trump can't just come out and say, Pam Bondi, release the Epstein files. Like, let's just get it over with and just release them all, get them all out there, right? No. You had to go through this because there's foreign leaders that are currently in positions of power that are implicated by this. There's businesses and corporations. There's intelligence apparatus, national security concerns. So Donald Trump has got to say, hey, look, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. But then Elon comes out and drops the seed and goes, Trump's in the Epstein files. And the left like, release the Epstein files. Yeah. And then you get a unified voice.
Right? What you said right there, though, that was in negotiations. Negotiations. Elon dropped that statement because he was pissed off that Trump wouldn't mandate electric cars.
Trump told him to. No, he did it. He dropped it because Trump told him to.
I feel like it's all in negotiations. I feel like it's tit for tat. Like, I want this, you don't give me that, boom. Well, now you're going to give me this.
Look at the result of it. The left and the right came together. Although they didn't agree with the details, they asked for the same thing and they demanded it. What happened? It forced Congress's hand. And Donald Trump had to be like, no, I don't want anything to do with this. But then the bill came and he gladly signed it. And the Epstein files got released. Mm-hmm. That is the power of the people.
True.
That is what needs to happen continuously every day.
Uproar.
Yeah.
But when it comes to our economy, when it comes to what we want with health, we have to take action. So like right now, there are 11 food companies, right, that the FDA is going to start. The government is going to start, has filed a lawsuit against them in San Francisco because they are selling ultra processed foods. And everybody's like, yeah, our government is going to do something about these ultra processed foods. Hold up. It's not what you think. They're doing that because our HHS and our FDA are changing. And the government does not want liability. They approved all this crap, right? Other countries have said, no, we're not allowing this chemical in our food. We're not allowing this dye in our food. But the United States government never did that. So the United States government is being proactive, and they're putting the ball in the court of these giant food, which these 11 companies just so happen control over 80% of our food supply. So all the food you see on our shelves in the grocery store come from one of these, most of it, one of these 11 companies. Okay. So they're playing ball. They're getting proactive. They're like, yeah, we're going to say, hey, you didn't tell us about this ultra processed food, and it's and it's deceptive, and your marketing's deceptive. They're coming at it from that angle because they're looking to force those companies to change and to sweep the liability under the rug because the FDA approved all of those foods long time ago because the food lobby went to bat to get these ultra processed foods on the market. Why? A centralized food system, right? They wanted a centralized food system so they could spread their food all over the country, right? And it needs to have long shelf life. Well, guess what? Meat, not a long shelf life. Eggs, not a long shelf life. Vegetables, produce, not a long shelf life. That's what you need to be eating to be healthy.
That's right.
They bought their way into the American culture for food, and it made us chronically sick. Let me remind everybody again, 76% of Americans are walking around with a chronic illness right now. 76%. We are not in any position to be, taking on war on this soil. We are, our children are not well. We got to clean this up, and we got to clean it up fast. Fortunately, our bodies are resilient. And when you dial it in and you start to understand, you're in control of your body. The main driving center is your brain. Understanding that your brain controls your hormones. Understanding that your brain has to have a vision for health. One of the techniques I use in my coaching, Josh, is, somebody in my community is really struggling with respiratory issues. And I asked her, do you know what your lungs look like? She's like, no, I think so. And I said, okay, let's look at a healthy pair of lungs. Okay, look at them. Now, every time when you pray in the morning, I want you to express gratitude for your pink, healthy lungs and bring that visual into your mind. We cannot achieve what we can't visualize. The Bible actually tells us that. Right? You have to have a vision. If the people have no vision, they will perish. Something to that effect, right? I probably butchered it. But you need to have a vision for your health. You need to have a vision for the future. If you have no vision for the future, you're just swinging at air. You're swinging at air. So that's the kind of stuff that we do here at Naturally Inspired. And I'm excited about it because, we're working with people. I'm working with people every day that are getting results. And this is the true change. We are the change. If we don't claim our culture, Josh, this is why I started doing an American Moment in the show to remind you that, hey, it is about immigrants. But here's the thing. When immigrants came from Italy, this is a little interesting tidbit. You would have thought, oh, they brought spaghetti and meatballs over to America, right? No, they did not. You see, Italy was poor back then. They made little tiny meatballs and they put it in water and they put it in broth and things of that nature. It wasn't till they got to the rich land and started being prosperous that they started making spaghetti and meatballs. That right there in that story is your culture, America. You take things from other countries, you bring them here, and you reinvent them. Reinvention is a foundational culture trait of America, along with things like perseverance, along with things like optimism. We're actually optimistic to a fault, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing that we're optimistic to a fault. So all of these things are your culture. And if you don't claim your culture right now, somebody else gladly will. And they're already here.
Yep. And they will absolutely hijack and take that over. I want to get into one thing real quick. It's about the something that passed in this last bill, and actually an email that I got. The first thing I actually got to do is I just got to pay a little bill, and I got to get in this ad real quick for crypto.com. Let me get this through, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the hemp ban that just happened.
Oh, okay, cool.
All right, let's be clear. Cryptocurrency is no longer emerging. It's here, and this latest move cements that reality in the biggest way yet. Trump Media Group just inked a massive $6.4 billion deal with Crypto.com, the world's top crypto platform. They're teaming up to scoop up $6.4 billion in CRO, the powerhouse token that fuels fast, low-fee DeFi, staking rewards, and real-world perks like cashback on your spends. To launch America's first CRO treasury, when it's done, this new company will be the biggest CRO holder out there. Want in on the action? Head to Crypto.com today and grab some CRO. Let's make crypto great again. And for everybody on Rumble, you can find that in the chat on the description box, and it was on the screen. If you just want to go on back to that, you'll see it over there. Okay, so in the Epstein bill that passed in Congress, November 2025, Congress, as part of the spending bill to reopen the government, included language that redefines hemp at the federal level, effectively outlawing most consumable hemp-derived products. The law bans many hemp-derived cannabinoids, especially those that are synthetic or manufactured outside the plant, such as Delta-H THC, Delta-10 THC, THC-O, etc. It imposes a strict cap. Consumable hemp products are limited to no more than 0.4 milligrams of total THC per container. Under the change, many of the hemp-derived products, including THC-infused drinks, edibles, vapes, gummies, and similar, will become federally illegal, or at least tightly restricted by November of 2026. So what changed under the Early Agriculture Improvement Act of 2018, also known as the Farm Bill, was defined broadly. THC content for Delta-9 was 0.3% of dry weight, which allowed hemp producers to extract or synthesize other cannabinoids and legally and put them in. So all of these CBD products that we have out there, and Emerald Med is a company that we talked about on this show the other day. We ran an advertisement for them, and there was a massive response from this audience, and appreciate you guys and supporting Emerald. Well, they reached out to me, and they're like, hey, we just want to appreciate you. We had a great response from your audience. And it's concerning what's happening right now because we're being put out of business because of this.
Yes. Oh, the government has been, CBD is a really it's a tough market. I was working with a small producer out of Boulder, and she was fantastic. She did all this work and she had a wonderful product, but the regulations were killing her. They were killing her. And we saw it kind of amping up all along, where they were making it more and more difficult. They did such a shoddy job at regulating CBD. It feels like they tanked it from the start, you know?
Well, what's interesting is what's really behind this.
Exactly. What is really behind this?
CBDs are a miracle worker when it comes to inflammation, when it comes to pain management. Well, who does that take money and profits away from?
Pharma.
That's right. On the other side of it, and so by the way, from 2018 to current day, 7 years, that's enough to see a notable financial impact from Big Pharma. On the other hand, and I said that this is coming, I believe that Donald Trump is going to legalize certain products by probably right after the midterm. And I think it's going to be cannabis. He's going to deschedule cannabis, and cannabis will be legalized, including all these products. This hemp is an interim restriction that is going to be put in, the hemp ban. The reason what they're doing is they're trying to get these mom and pop shops out of business, because when Trump does legalize cannabis, then the commercial industry, Big Pharma, come in with their products and they dominate the market, and everybody else is put out of business.
Yeah, I think there's I can see that. That makes perfect sense to me. Totally reasonable. There's other things, little side things going on too, which I find interesting. There's a big movement for people to try to understand that phthalates and plastics and wearing them on your body is a real problem. It's an endocrine disruptor. And hemp is a great alternative organic fiber. And if hemp hadn't, I actually wrote a couple pieces years ago on hemp on my Substack. If hemp hadn't been tanked in the early beginning when they started making things out of it, and they switched to paper, the paper industry basically tanked hemp because they were using it as fiber. We'd be wearing hemp today.
That's right.
We'd be wearing it, but they tanked it. And so now we have a lot of petro clothes. We have many athletic wears, and many fibers that we wear are made out of oil. And so I think that hemp still remains a huge threat to the economy. And so they keep kind of pushing it back. We have an endocannabinoid system in our body. That means we have receptors for cannabis. Okay? I'm of the belief, like, if God gave it to us, but there's cannabinoids in cauliflower. There's cannabinoids in echinacea. Like, we have the receptors, and our receptors are often very, what I call weak. Like they're very wilted because they don't get fed very much. And when we start to feed our endocannabinoid system, while different parts of the brain wake up, inflammation goes down, the body becomes nutrified because all dis-ease comes from deficiency. And if we have an endocannabinoid system, it makes sense to me that we should be feeding it. Well, how much cauliflower do people really eat? How much echinacea do people really eat? Sure, we take it when we're sick, but we're not usually consuming it on a regular basis. So it's an interesting concept to think of, like, what part of the population is actually suffering from deficiency from cannabinoids, right? From cannabis.
Right. And now what you're going to get is an elimination of that mom and pop shop, of the small businesses that have been doing really well since the Farm Bill, producing these products that are really truly helping people. Now they're going to be put out of business, and immediately after they're put out of business, a new bill will come out, and you'll see big pharma and multinational corporations step in, and they'll control that industry just like they do everywhere else. And this is what I mean to people. It was Republicans that passed this bill, Donald Trump that signed it into law. Nobody questioned that provision, and now businesses are going to suffer because of it. And that's the type of sacrifice that Donald Trump should be looking at, something like that, reading that bill and saying, hey, what the fuck is this?
That's right.
And saying this needs to be removed immediately. But there was no public outcry. Nobody was saying anything because they snuck it in at the last minute and popped it through.
Yeah. It's interesting because I covered something from a podcast recently. It was a bunch of tech guys talking about AI and stuff like that. And they said something, that I thought, oh my gosh, this is exactly what's happened. So in technology, and especially in AI right now, all the people in that industry, they're just like thinking of ways that they can get government money, because the government's giving away money to develop AI. And so this is the business model. I have an idea. I go to the government to get funded. That's un-American. Like, stop. You're not producing people who understand that entrepreneurship means you build your business. This is not a socialistic. This isn't socialism here in America, right? Like, this is not supposed to be socialism, but we're sliding into that because these people are getting used to government money. And they even gave the example that a lot of people coming out of business school, like Harvard Business School and stuff like that, they're kind of like, gee, how can we get our hands into government money? Like, people are getting lazy. Fund your own products, people. Fund your own products. Like, get out there and fund your idea. That's what you and I do, Josh. We're out here trying to fund what we want to do, our passion.
Get that good money like that.
No, I don't want it, though. I want people to understand that we're worth paying for in the marketplace, that we're worth supporting.
There's people have been talking about what is known as the AI bubble.
Yes,
it's very simple to understand because it has a lot to do with what you're saying right now. Is that you have all of these like top 5 corporations out there right now that are basically raising $1 trillion worth of investment. Now, what happened is you had OpenAI that gets a $50 billion investment from Microsoft, but then OpenAI invests $10 billion in Microsoft. They give it right back, right? And there's basically you have 5 companies with a total market cap of $60 billion that have taken in investment capital exceeding $200 billion. Now, this is 5 companies that do combined $60 billion a year, and they just took in 1 year $200 billion. And AI is not performing the results that people are expecting, as in it's not going to deliver this for many, many years to come. In other words, they need government money to substantiate the research, the infrastructure, the building out of these things, and they're becoming dependent upon that government money, which I believe that Trump will leverage for ownership in their companies for the sovereign wealth fund. I believe that that will happen. But what you have is that these companies can't perform. These companies cannot do their original purpose if all their money, their resources are flowing into artificial intelligence, which is not being built out fast enough because, like I've said since the beginning, there's no infrastructure. We don't have the infrastructure needed for artificial intelligence to thrive and survive. And so, you know, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but this is going to produce an economic downturn.
Yes.
And it's coming.
It is. Well, two things I have to say about that. Number one, I just covered a story about a gal in Connecticut. Okay. Connecticut mom, regular old suburban house. Okay. Gets a bill for almost $1,200 in electricity. And she doesn't understand. She's reading the bill in the video saying, what, I don't know what a delivery charge is. I don't know what this is. I don't even know what this is. How do you deliver electricity, right? You know what that is? That's for data centers. Data centers have moved into Connecticut and in her area, and the grid, instead of charging whoever to build the data center, they're passing it over to the consumer. And so you're going to start to see your electricity bill get out of control, because what have we been talking about this whole time? The only thing kind of naturally pushing back AI's expansion is the fact that we don't have the infrastructure in place, and we certainly don't have the energy. Right? We don't have the electricity. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, Josh, was that Glenn Beck had a little piece the other day that I happened to see. And he was talking about how AI is actually, because everybody understands, like, we're programming AI, right? Like, it's taking information, crunching data from our input into OpenAI. It's starting to learn more. More people are, programming their chats to become their agents, right? So it's constantly learning from humans. And he mentioned, and there was a word for it, now I can't remember what it was, but essentially AI is starting to get stupid because it's picking up on our habits. So it's starting to get lazy.
I saw this on Glenn. He was talking about how the intelligence level went like this, and then it started to decline because what's happening is people are going out there and be like, what's the color blue? Right? It's the dumbest shit in the world.
So do you think that's holding it back, and that's why they're underperforming?
So I want to point out a few things. Is number one, the AI that we use on an everyday basis, if you're using ChatGPT, Grok, this is 1% of 1% of what that system actually is. The data models that they're utilizing that model what they actually have on the back end are far greater. And we have to look at 20 years of behavioral and analytical data. It's not just the kind of the words and the questions and the imaginations of human beings that are being inputted into this thing. It's massive data amounts of things, everything from biomedical information on forth. There was a project that was just opened up by the Trump administration called the Genesis Project, or the Genesis Mission. This is critical because I believe that this is going to be the mechanism used to advance technology at a hyper scale. 30,000 scientists are going to be given access to this hyper AI that's being developed, which is, it's from what I gather, it's beyond anything that we have. It's beyond anything we've seen publicly, anything. But basically what's going to happen is that they've already reverse engineered this technology. They've already had these exotic programs, and it's in the military industrial complex. How do you get this out to the world without dropping the ball that, hey, we hid this from you for 80 years? Well, that's what's going to happen now, is that these 30,000 scientists are going to be asking their questions to this AI. This AI is going to have access to this information. It's going to teach them new physics. It's going to redefine physics and science and biology and mathematics, and it's going to lead to discoveries, and the discoveries will lead to technologies. And then who's going to use that? Well, it's the Genesis mission by the U.S. government, so the U.S. government's going to retain ownership of the certain technologies that are derived from it, which means that that'll get paid into the sovereign wealth fund. And when those displace jobs, now people are going to get compensated with revenue distributions. I like this model. I understand what the Trump administration is doing. I think it's pretty genius on how they're doing it. But AI is much bigger and crazier than I think people can truly understand. And what it's going to do over the next 10 years is going to revolutionize this planet. The question is whomever controls it, that's the real one. That's what we have to keep in mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm concerned about the public. I'm concerned about humanity, because you're right. I don't think that we can even fully get our brains wrapped around the change and how it's going to impact. I mean, we already have a really escalating issue with mental health in this country, and this blurring between, well, globally really, but the blurring between virtual and reality, it blows one's mind, you know, is like quite literally. And so that's why I'm always pressing the fact about, developing your higher faculties. Open your mind to things like intuition, open your consciousness, connect to your creator, connect to higher thinking, right? Develop your memory, go back to books. Like I was just telling Jason today, we went to an open house at a doctor's office today, and we were talking on the way there, and I was like, I got to get back to, I used to read a ton, like an actual physical book, and I haven't been reading as much. And I'm like, you've got make me. Here's your book, because it's so easy to not read an actual physical book. But I'll tell you, books are changing. Modern books and books that you download online or whatever, they have become so much of a marketing tool for a lot of people. So it's a way to bring awareness to their career online. And so the book itself doesn't seem to have the same substance as the books of yesteryear, if you will.
So, and actually, it goes back to a word you said earlier, or actually a word that I saw maybe in the chat. Someone was talking about is that imagination is far more important than intelligence.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that we're finding with all the levels of creativity that are coming out right now, whether it's Hollywood or Netflix or books, is they lack imagination.
Totally. And it's repeats. Yep. Because AI is patterns, everybody. Right? We see, trilogies, and also, the franchises. The Hollywood has figured out a formula where they're just going to beat a franchise into the ground to get every dime out of it. So part of it is greed, I feel like, but part of it is the fact that it's easier to use patterns. It's easier to use AI to create. But there's this huge loss that maybe people aren't going to feel right away, but I guarantee you will feel it. And it is the loss of human creativity. It feeds our souls in a way that you can't even really vocalize. Mm-hmm. It's why your hair stands up on end on the back of your neck when you hear someone sing that just pierces you. It's why you connect to music. It's why you connect to art, and you don't know why. There's a lot of things about humans, especially our consciousness specifically, we don't understand, but we do feel it. And when you've lost it, you're going to be very lost. And how do we get it back? We can't let it slip away. So we have to encourage people, be a creator, no matter what you're doing as a creator, use your imagination, keep using it, because the algorithm is stealing people's consciousness. Yeah. I was talking about this the other day. I don't even think it is the content that people are addicted to, because I sometimes I get down the scroll hole, I call it, and I'm like, I don't like any of this. I'm not interested in this. I don't like that. That's not my jam. But yet I don't put it down.
Well, no, it's the 120 per second micro blue flashes, and then it's the subliminal tones that the app is playing that are not audio, but you can't hear, but are very, very low. That is actually engaging you in it.
That's right. But think about that. You're spending all this time looking at something you don't even like. Mm-hmm. What is it doing for you? So, it has to be mindful, and I'm not preaching to anybody here. I'm just trying to relate. I'm not saying I'm above this myself, I have to practice myself, but it's becoming aware of it. And it's like, oh my gosh, snap out of it. How is this helping you? Is this enriching your life? And are you working on your consciousness? Because your consciousness is going to be the thing that you need going into the future. And I fear for people who don't even, we called them normies basically through COVID, right? All the normies that just kind of go along to get along. I'm like scared for those people because they're not even going to know that they're captured. They don't even recognize it. So, I mean, it's just, I didn't have this on my bingo card for my golden years, Josh. I didn't think this is the way we were going to be, going off into our golden years. But here we are. We are the chosen ones.
It's exciting. I'll tell you, it's exciting. And I'm loving the journey. I'm loving the ride. And I like where this has the potential to go. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the big part, is where it has the potential to go, because it's truly up to us to drive it there.
Yes. Well, we don't have a choice. And I think that's a fairly recent realization for me, because I came into it with fighting. We got to fight. And then I realized we're not going to beat it. So how can we enrich humans? How do we rise above it? How do we make our light brighter? Because that's what we're being called to do. That's our only choice right now. And so we got to get right with our health. That's number one, because when your health's not right, your light is dimmer.
Yep.
You got to get your health right. And then you got to start, practicing imagination and creativity.
Right. And I want you to go ahead and I want you to talk about Red Pill Cell Reset for a minute.
Yeah, this is a great place to start. So making it easy for everybody, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, I want to do something about my health, but I don't really know what I do. A lot of you go to my website and you're like, she's got so many products here. I don't know where to start. It's overwhelming, right? So I've made it super easy. This is my hero product. It helps everybody. The reason why it helps everybody has inflammation. If you're living in this world, if you're watching this screen is creating inflammation in your body. We're all dealing with inflammation, okay? And this Red Pill Cell Reset, what it does, it's like a little Pac-Man for inflammation. It goes in and it kind of eats up inflammation because it's rich, dense polyphenols. So think resveratrol, think grape muscadine, think pomegranate, all these really dark, rich polyphenols. That is like, putting water on a fire. That's what these pills do. So if you're dealing with inflammation, if you have gut issues, if you have arthritis issues, if you have inflammation that you're dealing with on the whole, this is a great place to start. You start with this product. And then as soon as you place an order with me, guess what happens? Hello, you're going to hear from me. And some people are like, oh, what did I do? Right? I think you get my whoa every morning, don't you, Josh? You get my words of encouragement every morning. So that's just one of the things that you get when you're in the Naturally Inspired community. So we start the day together every day. You get a little text from me so you can set your intention about health. And then you have private, exclusive access to my health text line. Okay, you control that. So as much as you engage with me, I engage with you. So if you want everyday hands-on coaching, guess what? You get it. If you just want to reach, stay in touch once a week, some people do it that way. Some people once a month. But the point is, you get my expertise on my health text line. The other thing that you get is our Tuesday night weekly wellness workshops. Every Tuesday night, we meet at 7:00. You don't have to be there live. If you don't want to miss Josh, I totally understand. You can log in and listen to the call afterwards. We talk about a health issue every week. So like this past week, we talked about diabetes. We talked about pre-diabetes. A lot of people getting the diagnosis of being pre-diabetic, and people are shocked. How am I pre-diabetic? I'll tell you how. The standard American diet. Okay, so we talk about something like that every week. I do about a half-hour presentation, and then we do question and answer. So, and it usually goes longer because we actually have fun on there, because health should be fun. So you get that every Tuesday night. You get 15% off all of my partnered product line, which everybody's buying wellness products anyway. Right? Everybody's buying 78% of Americans rather. They buy some form of vitamin or natural health product Everybody's buying them, but they're buying them from Costco. Maybe they're buying them from Walmart. I'm saying buy them with Naturally Inspired and get this community support. You get so much. And, many people also book additional. You can book a free 30-minute assessment with me to get started if you want to ask questions and learn more about it. And certainly if you purchase tonight, you can book a 30-minute free assessment with me so we can sit down and go through all of the different things. But this is a great way to get started. And you can book those on demand once you're my customer. So it's awesome. Many of my colleagues charge thousands of dollars for my service, a service just like mine. Yep. But my mission is bigger, Josh. My mission is bigger. It always has been. We got to change this medical model. I do not want your kids to not have choice. Your kids are unvaccinated. Never had a vaccine.
Don't say it too loud. I'm in Minnesota.
Sorry. Many kids are unvaccinated. Maybe not yours. Many kids are unvaccinated. But that's a right. That's your right to exercise that. I'm concerned we're not going to have that right in the future. And so if I can get people to understand how to curate health with their health in their own body, they're never going back to that broken model of the allopathic medicine and 7, 8, 9, 10 medications. So give me a shot. 90 days. I guarantee you I can change things for you.
Red Pill Cell Reset, redpillproject.com. Go check it out, guys. Visit Tammy over there or give her a text.
Yeah, just text me right here.
And it's going to be 720-303-8868.
Nailed it.
All right. All right. We got to jump on to the Red Pill Project after chat. I got to go on there. I'm 30 minutes late. Hopefully they didn't start without me. So I'm going to head on over there. Tammy, I appreciate you coming on with us.
I appreciate you, Josh, so much. Thank you so much for all your support with Naturally Inspired. We're so grateful for you.
I'm grateful for you. We'll see you next week. I think we got you 2 times next week, but we'll get you scheduled out. We'll see you next week. And everybody else out there, much love, respect. God bless. Take care. Have a great night. I will see you guys in a little bit on the Q&A. That's the various different channels you can find that Q&A on. I just want to put this out there real quick for everybody. I'm going to go ahead and do that right there. So those are the channels, x.com subscriptions, socialredpill.com, redpillproject.substack.com, and redpillproject.locals.com. And the link will be out there in just a matter of minutes. For everybody who wants to join in on the Q&A, just got to be a premium member out there. And I'll see everybody else tomorrow. Jeff will be back with Conversations on the Fringe tomorrow. Much love, respect. God bless. Take care. Have a great night. We'll see you guys next time. Good night.
Good night, Red Pillars.
There was a time when our children stood tall, hand on their hearts, one voice for all. There was a time when honor had weight, when the flag was a symbol, not a debate. There was a time when our history was known, with pride in the rules that made us our own. There was a time, respect for the brave, for those who bled, for the lives they gave. Now the homeland burns in silent war. Truth is twisted, we can't ignore. Voice still calls, we the people will not fall. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil under, patriots rise. We are one, land of the free, home of the brave. Children of freedom, stand for the light. was a time when truth was clear, when the media served, not ruled by fear. There was a time when leaders stood fast, guarding the people, defending the past. Now corruption wears a crown, lies are fed to tear us down. But Q said watch, and Q said see, the silent war will set us free. From the front lines, soldiers stare, wondering if we're still there. Their blood, their hope, their sacrifice will not be sold for a last prize. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, the veil undone. Patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on. Or we will spend our sunset years telling our children what it was once like in the United States where men were free.
There was a time, the time is near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil undone. Patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. There was a time, there was a time, now is the time. Do it.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation. I want you to get mad.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
The more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
These people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy.
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!